Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about a truly astounding event, which is the Wild of Eldraine's Magic the Gathering Dungeons & Dragons Canon, which just dropped on D&D Beyond, and how this really solidifies one of the most important changes in human intellectual property, because that's really what is happening. I think I cannot tell you how astounded I am at what is happening on Dungeons and Dragons. It is truly incredible. There is this incredible thing that is happening on Dungeons and Dragons that is really amazing and hard to even explain to people, because people don't really realize what's happening with Dungeons & Dragons, because it's so incredibly unique and does not happen on any other intellectual property in the world. All right, let's dig into this. So, first of all, I have to say I'm absolutely stunned that this happened. And the reason why is we're in 2023 and the hits just keep coming. Right? Dungeons & Dragons does not slow down for a minute. This is why Dungeons & Dragons utterly, virtually destroys every competitor it has. Because nobody can keep up, right? Like, the OSR and the indies just are not keeping pace with Dungeons & Dragons. You get, like, AJ Pickett, right? I just saw, some video comes up 6 months ago. He's like, I'm leaving Dungeons & Dragons. Like, today he's like, oh, hey, here's my video about a bunch of Dungeons & Dragons topics. Like, nobody leaves, right? You leave, you go to the OSR, you go to the Indie, and you're like, I traded 10 viewers for one, right? And then you just come back, right? Like, because, and the reason why is the OSR and the Indie combined don't generate as much, attention as Dungeons & Dragons combined. It's astounding. So I wake up in the morning and there's this video, and it's James Wyatt, who is a senior Dungeons & Dragons designer, and he's saying, hey, let me tell you 25 new monsters that are now, and then he talks about them being in D&D. Let me summarize what he's saying. In my humble opinion, he's like, new D&D canon coming directly from Magic the Gathering cards, right? Why is that important? It is astounding. So first of all, just so you're well, James Wyatt is the man who did this first, right? And it changed not just Dungeons & Dragons, it changed everything for all human art, okay? So Dungeons & Dragons had these D&D canon hardbacks. You know what they are. They're sitting on your shelf, right? And you got D&D canon hardbacks from 1E, 2E, 3E, 4E, and 5E. There will never be a 6E, okay? All right. And so James Wyatt, like 10 years ago, was like, hey, you see this Magic Gathering over here? This card is an unbound page of Dungeons & Dragons canon. Magic the Gathering, multiple settings, are canon to Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is canon to Magic the Gathering. And trust and believe, Dungeons & Dragons players and Dungeon Masters aren't going to understand this probably for 20 or 30 years, what I'm doing right now. And Magic Gathering players will never understand this, because they're not as smart. It's just simple. It's very simple, right? Like, I'll tell you right now, I think the smartest Magic Gathering player in the world is not as smart as the 100th smartest D&D player in the world. Period. End of sentence. And I've been with D&D, and I've seen, and when I say that, I've been with both of them my entire life. I've seen the arc of both of these products every single day that both of them have lived. Right? So that's not me just saying it. I'm saying I've seen both communities every day they've existed. I've existed longer than both of them, right? And so that is my humble opinion. Okay. All right. So where do you land, right? So he brings forward Wild of Eldraine's, and this is coming out as a D&D Beyond product. Now, one, that is problematic, right? Because I don't like getting anything in electronic only form, but that's not what's happening. Oh, you actually need paper? Well, the paper's there. It's the Magic the Gathering card. Like, Magic the Gathering cards now are D&D, unbound, canon pages. Period. End of sentence. And in my humble opinion, and Magic the Gathering simply and Magica and Dungeons and Dragons continues to wind closer and make stronger their connection to Magic the Gathering, ensuring you that every single time you pick any right Magic the Gathering card up and you go, is this D&D canon? And you look at it, there's two answers in my humble opinion: yes and not yet. Right? Like that's it, right? So and just to be clear, that's how it works, right? We've had the Wild of Eldraines, and they're like, oh, this is doing great, everybody loves it, bet it's canon D&D. Here you go, right? And that's astounding. That is truly astounding. It's really wild. So I am so thrilled to see Dungeons and Dragons like making stronger and stronger and stronger, and reassuring you nothing that happens under Magic the Gathering is divorced from Dungeons and Dragons. It's right there. The same the same plains, forests, mountains, swamps, islands that power 40K artifacts is the same plains, forests, swamps, islands, magic that casts Dominaria spells and Strixhaven spells. Like, when you pick up a Magic the Gathering card, and I think there's close to 50,000 of them now, it's, the question is this a D&D canon page? And the question is, yes or not yet, in my humble opinion. Extremely exciting change coming out of Wizards of the Coast. Incredible. I'm so excited to see what's happening. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.